Yes, enough already. Ted, thank you for remembering to pull up the fader and to twiddle all the knobs. Good boy, good boy. Ted joins us today for his knob twiddling duties. So you go down there and... Good boy. Good boy indeed. Right, yes, flying solo, as you can see today. Today was going to be Lucy's last session, but unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond our control, and due to circumstances not having anything to do with anything going on in Pimbatia, that won't be happening today. So, sadly, you have to put up with me and Ted. Never mind. Shit happens. Let's see who's in the house while we're waiting for people to wake up and put some Quekshuns up. So, hello from Chechnya. Hello. It has been a long time since Pim joined the stream. Yes, it has. She doesn't want to do it. Frankly, she hates doing it. She doesn't enjoy it. She only does it when, I guess, I twist her arm and all of that. Why don't you constantly sing when she's not around? Just stop it. Not really sure what the question is there. We do sing quite a bit, whether Pim's around or not, actually. Anyways, the Feral Grandma is here. Good to see you, Feral Grandma. Jonathan's here. Good. Good to see you. Master Chief Burgess of the Meat Militia. Good to see you, Dave. Hope things are going well. Let me know if they are or are not. Privately, if they are not. Publicly, if they are. Whatevs. RM Guest. Good to see you. First Quekshun. There you go. That didn't take too long, I suppose. If I don't follow all 5 health hacks 100%, is there any point of consultation for chronic issues? Well, that's entirely up to you. What I will say, predictably, so I can tell you up front right now, is I think all 5 health hacks are important. That's why they're on my list of the 5 important health hacks. I think everybody needs to do all 5. However, there are some tweaks and things that we can do in the background for someone with chronic conditions that may help some. I just can't make the same sort of, for want of a better term, warranty as I suggest, is that if people do all 5 health hacks, I suggest that they will probably get some kind of remission or improvement in their condition, almost certainly. 4.5, and I can't make that, not even a promise, but that sort of assertion, if that makes any sense. So yes, absolutely. Absolutely, if you'd like to consult and not do 5 health hacks, then I will say to you, well, why don't you do 5? Because 5 is the number of the counting. The number of the counting should be 5, and to 5 shalt thou count. To 4.5 shalt thou not count. Saved, by then thou then continuest to 5. 6 is too many. 4 is not enough. I think we've made the point. Yes, good. Indeed, Ted should be twiddling the knobs. I think he's onto that. Good boy, good boy. Somebody has to. Good to see you, Mark. Good to see you, mate. One of the usual suspects up in the house. Yep. All right. Hey, with way too many Y's. Hey to you. Good morning, all. Yes, good morning. It is 1 minute past 10 in the morning in Pimbatia on a Sunday. If you're still in Saturday, where have you been? You're in the past. I'm speaking to you directly from the future, from Sunday morning at 10. Yeah, okay. 10 p.m. in Hamburg. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a oblate spheroid-shaped planet, where half of it is in the light and half of it is in the dark at any given time, because it rotates on a daily basis as it makes its way around the sun on a yearly sort of cycle. It's also why, because of the tilt of the axis of said oblate spheroid, that the northern hemisphere has summer while we have winter, and the other way around. We're just about to have summer down here in the southern part of the oblate spheroid Earth. Dreadfully sorry if that offends the lack of sensibility, the lack of intelligence of people who genuinely believe the Earth is flat for some reason. Fuck is wrong with you? Are you that fucking stupid, really? Because you'd have to be some kind of stupid to believe that shit, wouldn't you? All right. Okay, I've got that off my chest, I think. maybe. Do you know I've got a channel, another YouTube channel about how the Earth is not flat? Do people watch that? No. Probably because it's such a ridiculous concept. Possibly that, and possibly because, I don't know, Al Gore and his rhythms. Did you know I've also got a YouTube channel where I just put on a collar and tie and just talk about science? Nobody watches that one either. Again, why not? Are you only here for me to call someone a cock trumpet? Is that all it is? Oh well. Thoughts on ALS. My father had it. Awful disease, yes. Is it likely the pathomechanism starts out as metabolic? You mean the underlying cause of the disease process is really not known so much. I suspect that there probably is a metabolic connection. I can't say for sure that it definitely is, but I think it probably is. We do know, for example, that if you interfere with a person's ability to synthesize cholesterol by taking statins, that the incidence of ALS reported in a statin-taking population as compared to their so-called matched-ish peers is something like 11,800%. There is a vast, huge, very serious increase in ALS, a universally fatal neurodegenerative disease, if you give somebody statins. Interesting. It's about the same incidence change as you get with lung cancer and smoking. Okay, so it's a pretty solid association that people should probably take seriously as an association and think, well, if the association is that strong, maybe there's a causal mechanism. I'm not saying there is, because we can't make a cause and effect claim without an experiment, and we can't do an experiment because of ethics, practicalities, finances, and all of that. But in short, long answer I know, but the short version is yes, I think it probably is metabolic, at least in part. It's a rich tapestry. All right. Carnivore Rebel. Like it. That's a good name. Good afternoon, fellow Bartonians. Is that what we're called? Bartonians? I thought we were Pimbatians. We can be Bartonians as well. Yes, good. Anyway, good to see you, Carnivore Rebel. Nice that you're in the house. Hello, Rebel. Indeed. Hello, Bernie 9. Hello. Good to see you here. Sarah Hammond's in the house. Good to see Sarah. Hello from Denmark. Hey. I am a huge fan. That shows very poor judgment. Really does. Doesn't it, staff, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? I'm glad you're a huge fan. Right. Hello from Darwin. We truly have global reach here from Pimbatia, the small independent nation of Pimbatia, encompassing something like officially 15.32 hectares of huge tracts of land, surrounded mostly by some fencing, less so after the floods. Speaking of which, if you want to help with flood recovery, because the insurance company isn't helping very much, you certainly can send super chats or monies to PayPal, or you can sign up for Patreon and get access to the How to Read the Literature course that I'm drip feeding into there on a week-by-week basis when I get time to do the videos, because I'm also a farmer these days, for those of you that don't know. We had 2 calves born yesterday. That was exciting. I wasn't here. But it was exciting to come home and find out that there were 2 more cows than there were when I left. I went gallivanting yesterday, went to play cricket. Well, I went to be at cricket, I wasn't actually playing. Not required. Can you believe it? Me, not required in the team. Goodness gracious. With all my raw talent that I used to have, maybe, to some degree. You get to a certain age, don't you, with sport, and you think, Anyways, I'm still playing open age competitive men's sport in my mid-50s. It's pretty good, isn't it? I think it's pretty good. Yes, we're all properly global today. So there's another giveaway. Global. I saw a post, many times people post it up actually, it's quite a common one, where people are saying, oh, they're having this flat earth convention and people have come from all around the world. Around the world. From all parts of the globe. to the Flat Earth Convention. That's a bit of a giveaway, really, isn't it? As I said, you have to be a special kind of stupid for that. You are obviously biased against raw meat and organs especially. Absolute fucking nonsense. Rubbish. No such thing is true at all. Why would you say that? Would you say that cooked meat is probably superior for most people just based on indication? I never said that. I never said anything remotely similar to that. Do not misquote me, for fuck's sake. Goodness gracious me. Are you new here, perhaps? I know you're not, because you've got the special member symbol there. Yeah, no, I've never said that raw meat is superior. I've said that cooked meat is superior. I have said that raw meat is not necessarily superior. I have said I don't like raw meat. I don't want to eat raw meat. And I've said organs are probably not a good idea necessarily, especially liver. That's what I actually did say. What you've reported that I've said is something completely different. Really pisses me off. Love you anyway. There's nothing you can do about it. Right. Has the lovely first class Field Marshal Lucy left Pimbati yet? No, not as yet. Although that's imminent for reasons beyond our control and planning. Yes, sadly, she does have to depart these fair shores and return herself to some other shores. Anyways, there it is. A Victoria stand. Oh my God, yes. Of all the fascist totalitarian dictatorships in the world, the communist state of Victoria is right up there. Yes, it really was. You guys were nearly as bad as what happened in New Zealand. And that's saying something. Under Jacinda Ardern, who can't even show her face in New Zealand ever again for fear of someone fucking ending her, I would suggest. I'm not suggesting that's a good idea. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying there's a reason that our former Prime Minister will not show her face in this country ever again, I would suggest. Yeah. Anyways, there we go. How much have you rebuilt since the floods? Okay, well, works are ongoing. There's a lot of things that had to happen. For those that don't know, we had, of the 15 or so hectares that this small nation encompasses, 1.5, 2 hectares were completely, had the topsoil removed entirely and washed downstream and out to sea, down to 2.5 meters. Really quite a significant gouge out of the property. It's been backfilled with clay and river pebbles and stuff like that. And there is some natural regrowth of some of the willows and fragments of willows that were smashed and brought down there and carried along there and whatever down by where the river is. It is slowly regrassing itself. We haven't done anything to regrass it. We have been concentrating on the tidy up, the cutting up of downed trees as much as we could into firewood and bringing those up to the sheds for storage. We've had to set up some temporary fencing and stuff so that we can rotate stock a bit and get animals moving around in the way that we want to, or the way that Her Majesty Pym, Queen of Pirates, wants it, frankly, because all hail Queen Pym, mother of puppies, ducks, chickens, goats, sheep and cows, and anyone else I forgot. The first of a name, the unpoked, whatever. First of a name. Did I mention that one? Yeah. Yes, we all follow orders around here, even me. The only one around here that actually doesn't do as they're fucking told is Ted, frankly. And again, if you want to follow Ted doing his own thing, you can on X at HRH_Ted. If you like hearing about how everybody will be see you next Tuesday, Ted's all about that. I can't do a thing with him. I keep telling him to tone it down, but frankly, he won't. I think it's just a bit of fun for him, really, to blow off some steam. But you'll probably enjoy it. If you're not following Ted on X, you can. There it is at the bottom of the screen right now, at @HRH_Ted. Right next to the comment about how you can help us with flood repairs. Because, the insurance company didn't really help much and isn't really helping much so far. Just for example, just to repair the culvert on our driveway, the only vehicular access to the house, to the property, that was $15,000 plus change. The insurance company aren't interested in paying $15,000 for a culvert. Also, the insurance companies generally around in New Zealand have this thing where they limit the amount they will pay out for fencing to, I think it's $5,000 per event. Well, how much fencing can you buy for $5,000? Not very much. About 10 metres. We've lost about 2,000 metres of fencing, for example. Anyways, there it is. Enough whinging. Let's carry on. Could iron fortified food cause the body to store iron because it is unable to use it due to not being heme iron? If anything, non-heme iron can be toxic in the body because of its redox state and the fact that it's not biochelated to heme. I wouldn't necessarily suggest, in fact, I would necessarily suggest, actually, that one should not take non-heme iron. And if somebody fortifies a food substance with non-heme iron, I think you should avoid it. Personally, I would. Yes. Right. So, Cal checking in. So, Cal. Hello, Cal. 1 p.m. Saturday here. 5 is right out. Yes. Well, 5 isn't the number of the counting of health hacks, though. It's not the number of the counting for the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, though. The number of the counting for that is 3. And that is the number of the counting. Right. Good. Do you think that an aneurysm in the aorta can be caused by consuming lots of plants and olive oil? Caused is a very, very strong statement. Cause implies a known mechanism, and in causes that, and it demands that you're saying that the reason a thing has happened was because of the influence of another thing, definitely. The only way that we can do that is with experimental work. We cannot do that with human beings. There's your answer. It's entirely possible that an aortic aneurysm may well be either caused or exacerbated by consuming lots of plants and olive oil, yes. There are mechanisms that we can speculate upon. What we cannot say is that is a definite. I hope that's clear. Can I ask if Pim resolved her headaches permanently? No, I'm still here. I'm here all week. I'm always here. That's the problem. Right. Just rewatched your Steak and Raymond. Steak and Raymond? You mean Steak and Butter Girl and Raymond's 90-day challenge? So it got me curious how she's doing. She seems to be doing okay for any given value. Pretty much these days, what with deciding to become farmers, I'm a half-time farmer, half-time social media influencer, YouTuber, maker of videos for Patreon, consultant to those that need consultancy, and marketer of cereal products. And so I split my time, whereas Pim is the farmer. She's in charge here, and it's just go, go, go from dawn to dusk, caring for animals, moving animals around, making decisions about this, that, and the other thing. So really, I mean, I see Pim a couple of times a day. Hey. Yes, ships in the night, it's become a bit. And then we had the flooding event, so we're chasing our tails with that. And there's been 1 or 2 issues around the place with things breaking down and needing repairing and stuff and other tasks and whatever else. So, there it is, pretty much. You guys know as much about what's going on in Pim's life as I do, and I live here, and she lives here. Craziness, really. Super chat action, love it. from John James, 10 US greenback dollars. Ted will use those for some nefarious purpose, won't you, Ted?
Yes, thank you for the $10. Ha 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 ha.
You go and twiddle the knobs, Ted.
Righto.
Good boy, good boy. Why does taking exogenous testosterone raise lipids? Does it? Who told you that? Where did you get that from? I'm not sure it does. Maybe it does. If so, I'm not sure what the mechanism is. Someone could point it out to me and I can tell you whether that makes sense or not. Sorry, can't be much more helpful on that one. That's just not something I've ever heard of before. Is anybody else? Paul just started a 7-day dry fast. Yum yum. You mean yum yum, you're eating your own body? Good, good. That's what fasting causes. It causes autophagy or autophagy, depending what part of the world you come from. It's good stuff. Autophagy, autophagy. Auto, yourself, phagy, eating yourself. So, go eat yourself, Paul. Good stuff. Good day, Professor Sir. Yes, good day to you, Stefan R4. Is it like R2D2? You're Stefan R4. Beep, 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 boop, 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 boop. I think I've lost my shit, finally. Lol, that name. Which name? Whose name? What name? When name? Why name? Don't know. G'day from Sydney. G'day, Sydney. How yous doing, alright? Don't come to raw prawn. Yeah. I should come over and have some fish and chips, shouldn't I? Do you like fish and chips in Sydney? No, not the chips. And not the batter on the fish. Because none of that's kosher, is it? Right, anyway, good to see you. What are your thoughts on eating heart, which is an organ? Yes, I know it's an organ, thank you. Fine. Heart's a muscle. Muscle meat is fine. It doesn't even taste any different to me, actually. Which, well, why would it? Is smoked beef optimal for health? What do you mean optimal for health? Or is it better to avoid smoked meat? I don't avoid smoked meat. I also don't base my diet on it. We have an amount of smoked meat from time to time, mostly over the summer when we do our own smoking, our own barbecuing. It's tasty as. Love it. I don't think it's necessarily to be completely, absolutely avoided, but I also wouldn't eat smoked meat every day of my life either. Do you think New Zealand could get totalitarian and Pimbatia being seized? Well, it depends, really. Pimbatia is a territory which the deed says I own. However, the bank would suggest they own it, at least at this point. And if I ever defaulted on my payments to the bank, then they would say, we really do own it, and now we're having it. Do I think New Zealand could become totalitarian? I think that ship sailed considerably some time ago. I think what we expected here in New Zealand is that we're insulated from the rest of the world, and we're not, in this country, we're more sensible than the rest of the world, and we're not going to fall prey to this ridiculous nonsense, is what I thought. Turns out this country was one of the most totalitarian throughout the fuckery that went on, that we can't mention. One of the most totalitarian fuckery systems that were put in play anywhere in the world, if not the worst. So I have no faith in New Zealand or its management or its governance anymore. And I will continue to push for recognition legally that Pimbatia is an independent sovereign nation within New Zealand. That's a long road, though, to get that actually achieved in legal status. And it will probably involve a war, which won't be too hard to win against the New Zealand Army, because apparently the entire deployable New Zealand Army force is about 2,000 men with no kit. Persons, I should say, not men. Well, they are men, mostly, the ones that get deployed. But anyway, they've got no kit to speak of. The New Zealand Defence Force, it seems, is basically a gesture which we contribute to international peacekeeping things a bit and borrow their gear. So that's what I've heard anyway. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Anyway, the Pimbatian Defence Force consists of yours truly, the Field Marshal, the head of the Defence Force, His Royal Highness Lord Edward Yellow.
Hello! I'm in the Defence Force too. I defend the nation by lying face down on the desk.
Good, thank you, Ted, for that. You can't get the help. At the moment, we have one Field Marshal First Class on site for the next few days, and then she's going AWOL. We have two other Field Marshals, well, one Field Marshal, one Air Marshal. Neither one of them are fucking here. It's almost as if they think they've got better things to do in life. I don't know. It's incredible. Her Majesty Pim Queen of Pirates, of course, is head of the nation, runs the whole show, makes sure everybody does what they should, except for Ted, because, well, you can't do a thing with him, frankly. Anyway, what are your thoughts on terrain theory? Terrain theory and its antithetical view. A lot of people are saying like terrain theory means that the pathogen theory is false. No. Absolute fucking nonsense. Whenever I see that meme, you know, you've got a sick goldfish, what do? Clean the goldfish bowl or medicate the fish? Fucking both is what you do. You medicate the fish appropriately and you clean the fucking water if it's dirty. They're not exclusive ideas. One's outcome is a rich tapestry of all the inputs. Make sense? I hope so. Good day, sir. Good day to you, Raw Oliver. Are you not cooked then? Raw. I'm raw too. Pretty raw. Is daily supplementation with copper, which has been chelated in the soil due to agricultural use of glyphosate, actually necessary? Who knows? Case by case, soil by soil, different places around the world. Very general statement, can't give you an answer to that. Excess iron in the body, which should be protected from viruses. What the hell? Do you people proofread before you hit send? I don't know what is that? The first part made sense. It was a question. And then suddenly there's some other stuff about iron and viruses, which is a completely different issue and not in the form of a question. Love you anyway. Nothing you can do about that. I love you all equally. All right. That's what she said. It's not as funny when it's just me doing it, is it? Not as funny at all. All right, fungi, blah, 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 blah. These kind of very, very specific questions, these very leading questions. I mean, are you actually asking a question or are you trying to tell us something that you think you know? I don't know. Which is it? What do you think, staff? Are there any recommendations for better wound healing after surgery? Yes, 5 health hacks. All 5. The number of the counting shall be 5. Plus BPC157 peptide. Bravo, Polly, Charlie. Experimental peptide, not for human use, only for experimental purposes. So very dangerous. You can buy it over the counter and or at Amazon, eBay. Make sure you get a brand that offers you a lab report with the product, establishing that it is what it says it is. Especially if it comes from somewhere dodgy. I probably don't get it from somewhere dodgy. More to the point. Yeah, that. Good. John, mate, good to see you. How's it going? Well, I hope. Are you well, son? We're well here in Pembatia. We're feeling hale and hearty. Yes. Yeah, that. Okay, good. Thank you, Jonathan. There's a good suggestion. Yes, do try that tomorrow. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello, Bacon Runner. All right, here we go. Thoughts on the threshold for high blood pressure? There's no such thing. It's ridiculous. What do you mean threshold? I know what you mean. And I know what you're referring to. It's the habit of the allopathic medicinal community of placing threshold values on every physiological response. This is normal right up to this point, then suddenly it's abnormal and pathological from that point onwards. There's no grey. It's okay or it's not. It's rubbish. And is 120/80 ideal? Okay. And is 121 over 81 therefore high blood pressure with a difference of 1 millimeter of mercury pressure? It's just nonsense. Anyway, there are some people that saying 120 over 80 is normal, and some people saying 140 over 90 is normal. Look, at the end of the day, everybody's own individual blood pressure will be optimized if you do everything right. Okay, and you set yourself, your body is set to its genetic set point in terms of fat carriage. You do some basic fitness work. You eat the right diet. You do all of the rest of the health hacks as well. Your blood pressure will normalize to what the genetic set point should be for your body type, your height, etc., etc. And look, anywhere in there, I don't like if someone presented with blood pressure anywhere in that range that's on the screen there, 120 to 140 over 80 to 90, I'm not going to get overly concerned about that without there being any other signs of a problem, personally. At 16 months carnivore, in recent months I seem to be able to digest less or even much less fat. Toilet visits much more frequent. Yeah, of any variety. Could chronic stress, obvious or subtle causes? Yes, chronic stress, obvious or subtle, could absolutely have an effect over your physiological function in many, many ways. It may well be that you have a slow-acting latent dysbiosis as well. That's a possibility. It may well be that your body has normalized in terms of its requirements for energy and you need a bit less right now than you perhaps did earlier in the carnivore journey when your body needed much more because you were repairing from the evils of a standard diet or whatever the hell kind of diet it was you were eating before you went carnivore. All possibilities. Sort of thing you could consult with me about for an hour or so for a few $100s. Much cheaper than Not Really a Dr. Paul Sellard, I don't know who Bart K is. Charges $1,000 an hour, or part thereof. 61 minutes, $2,000. Make sure if you're gonna consult with Not Really a Dr. Paul Sellard, I don't know who Bart K is. Make sure you don't go over the 1 hour. Otherwise you're up for another $1,000. I won't do that to you. All right, you're very welcome. Carnivore Farmer Mom, good to see you. And if you, Carnivore Farmer Mom, if you would like to collaborate with yours truly, this very bad bald man, and do a video together or come on a live stream or however, whatever you feel like doing, do sing out. My email address can be found on the front page of my fine YouTube channel. If you don't want to, that's fine too, but the invite is there. Thoughts on issue of MDF wood formaldehyde off-gassing? I don't know enough about it to know whether that's a serious problem. Is there any particular benefit to eating eggs besides variety and taste? Well, they're fairly nutrient dense. They have pretty much, well, not all the things you need in them, but many of the things you need in them. They're a great optional alternative to meat if you want options and alternatives. So long as you're not one of these people that reacts negatively to eggs, eggs are great. No problem with eggs. Eggs are awesome is the word I'm after. Right. Fasting insulin 5.9, fasting glucose 87, HSCRP 0.3, yet A1C is 5.8, pre-diabetic according to my doctor. Can it be longer-lived red blood cells or a hyperglycator is either a bad condition? Yes, it's almost certainly longer-lived red blood cells if you are eating a properly carnivorous diet. That's been established as a very high likelihood. There is no such thing as pre-diabetes. Once again, this is about the allopathic community's habit of putting thresholds on things. As a carnivore eating person with an A1C of 5.8, if your blood glucose is in range 100% of the time, then 5.8 as an A1C is absolutely definitely not a problem. There is no evidence and no literature existing anywhere on this planet that can prove otherwise. The fact that your CRP is very low and that your fasting glucose is absolutely in range, no problem. Your doctor is an imbecile. Your doctor just reacts paint by numbers under a bunch of assumptions, which in the case of a carnivore eating person are false, and your doctor is not trained in that. Your doctor doesn't know what to look for or what to expect. If this value comes back above that value, tell the patient they are pre-diabetic. Absolute fucking nonsense. And malpractice, frankly. That's just my opinion, doesn't have to be anybody else's. I would fire that physician immediately if I was you. In fact, people that go and see a physician, why are you doing that? To what possible fucking end? I don't get it. I don't even have a physician. If there's an emergency, I'll go to the fucking ER. If I get it, if I make it there, because it's a long way from here. All right? Goodness gracious, why do people go and see doctors? Right, do you think the sun is important for optimal human health besides vitamin D3? Yes, I do. Eggs are nose to tail. No, they're not. No, they are not. Right. There is this Swedish YouTuber, Andreas, who eats up to 2 kilos of 20% fat raw pork a day and eats throughout the day. He doesn't exercise. He's about 80 kilos and 175 centimeters. Isn't that way too much in macros? Well, you've answered your own question. If you look at those height and weight measurements, looks fine to me. So long as that individual is body composition and mass stable and has no obvious signs of pathology or problems, let's not try and make problems where they don't exist. Is slamming biscuits indicated? Are you here to help? No, slamming biscuits is not indicated unless it's a very occasional thing. In which case it's still not indicated, but whatever. We make no apologies. I've never said that I'm a perfect carnivore personally. Never. People say that, suggest that because I suggest that the 100% carnivore diet is optimal, that's what I myself am doing. No. I'm getting as close as I can. Some people do get to 100%. Bully for them. They have better self-discipline than I do. That's awesome for them. I've never said I am. And biscuits are delightful. Biscuits. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Right, Quekshuns. Here we go. What do the cereal products taste like out of the capsule? Absolutely foul. They taste like pond scum. Which isn't surprising, really. Don't they consult the New Zealand Defence Force? Who's they? Stomp and Boost. Don't post your questions up twice, please. Just once will do. Yes. Don't underestimate your armed forces. Well, just our forces. Really. You may have many attack birds and defense ruminants. Perhaps. We have an attack mother duck. She's quite aggressive. She's a good mama. Yes, I was just mentioning the general staff, Master Chief. Absolutely, the enlisted men are just as important in any working defence force. However, that said, Dave, you are also not fucking here, are you, soldier? Well, sailor, really, because you're a Master Chief. How do we run the Pimbatian Navy without the Master Chief? And without any fucking water at the moment. We've had some at various times. You would have been useful during the floods, Dave. You could have tootled around in your submarine and defended our huge trucks of land or something. But no. You just sat around in Canada stand instead. AWOL. Disgraceful, really. Report to Ted after class. Are the Muscovies part of the Defence Force? Yes, absolutely. You bet. Yeah, that's what I said. That's what he said. Boom. Yes. Agreed. Of course it's agreed, because nobody's allowed to disagree with me here. It's hate speech. We won't have hate speech here in Pimbatia. Yes. That. That's right. Clean your fish tank. Hello. Nice to see you. Nice. Oh, okay, so what is your name? I'm not telling. Very good. Right, next question. While you make sure what you say is unassailable, is there still something you change your mind about in your area of expertise in the past 15 years? New info, elevated understanding. In the last 15 years. So let me think that through. Anything of actual consequence. I mean, I guess if there was, I would know straight away. Yes, I changed my mind immediately on such and such when I heard some new data on it. I can't think of anything that I think about differently scientifically now than I did 15 years ago. Not to any meaning. It's because I was unassailable in the first place. That's the whole point. EMF is weaker than the sun. Yes, many things are weaker than the sun. However, we are not exposed to the sun 24/7 for decades at a time. No, just half that time on average, depending where you live on the planet, really. Maybe EMF has the slightest influence, but it's never ending is what makes it have... Yeah, sure, that can't be discounted. It's a possibility. Yes. Question. Do diabetes drugs like metformin cause increasing cellular damage by forcing the cell to continue to intake glucose after they stop responding to insulin? Yes. They override the Randall mechanism. They force glucose to go into cells where it's not wanted or needed. It's a circumvention of the biological design, which is that the red blood cells, etc., and the endothelial cells of the vasculature are the sacrificial lambs that take one for the team and get damaged if the blood glucose is elevated too high, and the cells protect themselves by locking the door from the inside, and drugs like metformin are basically lockpicks that undo that, working against the body's physiological design. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard, just about. It's absolutely contraindicated, and you should not touch that drug with a barge pole any more than you should touch a statin. Yes. Yes. There is around about a 150 millivolt across the inner mitochondrial membrane. No, there fucking isn't. False. The equivalent of a lightning bolt per meter squared. Nonsense. Does that just sound impressive because of the scale, or is it actually impressive? It's false. It is not true. There is no voltage whatsoever across any membrane in the human body. None. Okay? The only way that a voltmeter can read a voltage across a membrane is if you put an electrode on both ends of the copper wire, or whatever conduit it is that is containing that voltmeter. It is the electrode that produces the voltage. There is no actual voltage physiologically in the tissue. Okay? What's next? What are your thoughts about Faraday cages' effects of NMEMF on heart disease and overall health? There is not enough known about non-native EMFs to know whether they definitely have a deleterious effect on any aspect of human health over any period of time, but the possibility cannot be discounted any more than the possibility can be accepted. Faraday cages work by blocking such signals, and as such, if you are concerned about that, that's one very relatively straightforward way in which you can sort it out. Put the Faraday cage over your head, or over your whole body, or around a whole room, depending what you want to do. You could also turn off any sources of EMF overnight. You can't probably block the public EMF that bathes everything just about. Not so much out here in the countryside. We could turn off all our EMFs at night time. I don't. But we could. Could a chicken do a carnivore diet? I suspect so. I don't know for sure, because chickens are omnivorous animals, naturally, it seems. Super sticker! Love it! Thank you, Berry 3 Berry, 3 Berry, 3 Berry. If you eat a lot of meat every day, is it worth donating blood every 6 weeks to reduce your iron levels? Only if your iron is elevated, and that won't be because of what you're eating. There are a number of reasons a person's iron becomes elevated. Really not much to do with what you're eating, mostly. Q. No, just one Q, and not no Qs. One Q is what's required. Then a colon, then write your question out in full. Don't forget to capitalise the first letter and suffix the whole thing with a question mark. Professor, yes. My 400-pound boss, yes, who does not listen to me, well, why would they, about how I eat, yes, has instead started listening to someone else whom he knows and is now taking retrotubide. Also, can you comment on that one? That's Darwin in action there. There it is. Okay. You should review some of the nonsense from Theo Bergman. Okay, send me some stuff. Send me an email and I'll put it on the list maybe. Yes. What do you think of alpha gal? An allergy to red meat that comes from a tick bite. What do you mean, what do I think of it? What's the question? It's a terrible thing, and it seems to be something that's likely to have been engineered by a human and inserted into these ticks. It doesn't seem to be a natural thing. At least I've read something that suggested that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me in the world these days. Oh. Yes. Can you tell us more about your scientific paper reading course? And will it show how to tell if a study is bought or funded by the industry? Yes, it's a course that I'm putting together as and when I possibly can, hopefully around about week-wise, sometimes a bit longer, sometimes a bit shorter. So far, there are 2 lessons that have been posted. There will be many, many more over months to come. The only way to access that course is to join my Patreon at the $10 a month or above level, $10 US that is. It's called the Seekers of Knowledge tier or above. You can also join on a consultancy tier if you want face-to-face access to me twice a month for an hour. It's a great course. It's TED approved, even though most of it hasn't been produced yet. TED's just approved it. He said it's going to be great, is what he said, and I'd believe TED, frankly, on that. And yes, one of the things that it will show is how to tell whether a study has been bought and paid for or not. Yep, there'll be many other things you'll find out too. Many things. It'll be the best damn thing you ever did. 2 cups of coffee a month, $10. Well worth it, I'd say. I'm looking into Bovier being used in Australia without public knowledge. Is it? That wouldn't surprise me either. Just making sure you heard. Can you try to get Greg Judy on your channel to talk about regenerative ranching? Okay. All right. Greg Judy. Send me an email to remind me because I won't remember after this. How can I distinguish A1 intolerance from lactose intolerance? Yeah, you'll have to get an antibody test. Do you believe in seeing a doctor for a PSA test annually? And what about a colonoscopy after age 50? No, I don't believe in that. You mean shotgun testing? On speculation? The only time I suggest that testing is indicated is if there's a reason for you to get tested for something to confirm or refute a potential diagnosis. Also, colonoscopies do not come without significant risk. Significant risk. And they don't tell you that. They tell you it's life-saving. Okay. Gene Simmons of KISS said he loves eating cake and even mentioned sensually rubbing a piece all over his body. I don't think he would listen to you about how to eat properly. Perhaps he wouldn't. Is Gene Simmons still alive? Is a concrete surface good for grounding? Not if it's dry, it isn't. No, it needs to be wet to be a good source of grounding. Concrete is quite a good insulator. Not an entirely effective insulator, but quite a good one, so not ideal, no. Yeah, just the 1 Q though, not 3. I was told my iron was low. This was back 2 months. Carnivore, my one and only blood test I'll do in the near future. This surprised me given the meat and eggs. Any suggestions? More beef? Well, depends if you're symptomatic or not, if there's any sign of any form of anemia. Also depends on your age, stage, all sorts of things. Maybe we can talk about that when we do a collaboration, if you want to. I'm staying up late just for you. Well, thank you. Pity that the universe denied Lucy being here today. Sure? Yep. Still, we soldier on, don't we? That's what you do in Pimbatia. You did change your mind, says Dave. You thought you were wrong once, but then you realised you were right after all. Yes, I was mistaken about being wrong. How to deal with the depression that follows a 3-day Thanksgiving food bash? Well, don't do that. Did anybody hold you down and force Thanksgiving food down your neck? Anyway, up 6 pounds of fluid and plants. Yep, I haven't felt this low in a while. My husband's heart and kidney disease don't help. No. Okay, so clean your act up. 5 health hacks. You might consider BPC 157 for gut function. Clean yourself up. Pick yourself up, dust yourself up, and carry on. Carry on, soldier. That's what I would suggest. The mood will come right once the thing that's causing the mood problem is alleviated, i.e. mostly the poor food choices over the last week. Yes. Again, don't ask your question more than once, folks. It'll either come up or it won't come up. Depends on whether Ted sees it or doesn't see it, really. Do you carbohydrates for your brain? Do you need carbohydrates for your brain? Yes, you do. I asked because a woman I work with said you do need carbs for your brain. Well, she's quite right. You do. Your brain absolutely requires carbohydrates. No carbohydrates means you die. However, what that does not mean is that you need to eat any carbohydrates, because your body is more than capable of manufacturing all the carbohydrates that are required. And it does, with gay abandon. So there you go. Yes, it's a correct statement. Yes, your brain needs carbohydrates, but that doesn't mean you need to eat any. Okay? Interesting stuff. I am hypersensitive to EMFs. Yep, there are people that are, apparently. And sleep in a blocking tent. Awesome. So you put a tent over your bed. A Faraday cage tent. That'd be awesome. I might get one of those. Turn off the mains. Depends, I guess, on what you're running. Yes, we do need to put that on a t-shirt though. According to whom, on the basis of what? Who told you that? Is another way of saying that. It's almost as if people listen to what I have to say. Okay. Oh, Ron, you're a gentleman and a scholar. Young man, tee. I presume I'm late. Yes, you are. So report to Ted and face the consequences. Report to me after class, Ron. Down the back. Just go and twiddle the knobs, Ted. For goodness sake. Can't do a thing with them. Right. Good. What's next? Super sticker! Hurrah! Thank you for the super sticker. Are you doing anything with the most offensive influencer poll you had, or maybe I missed it? Who won? There wasn't enough interest in it. But the responses I did get had one Lame Norton well out in front as the most offensive. For what it's worth, I think we needed a larger sample size of people responding. It didn't grab the attention or imagination of folks. You didn't participate, so fuck it. That's how I roll around here. You guys, as a community, you don't react to what I'm doing. I stop doing it. Really, I've got better things to do. If you could live anywhere else in the world, where would you go? I don't think I'd want to be anywhere else. Or, I don't know, it's a tough one. There are many places I've been in the world that I loved being at for a short period. Whether I'd want to live there or not, I don't know. And could I keep my circumstances, i.e., owning a large amount of land? Well, the bank owns it. Let's be fair. Having some animals, being or heading towards self-sufficiency. We're not quite there yet, but getting close. Love you too. There's nothing you can do about it. Sleep well. Don't let the big bugs bite. The bed bugs. Jesus, I can't even speak anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Quekshuns. Nah. La la la. It seems I can perfectly easily drink raw kefir, which was very fermented, and I can also drink A2 pasteurized milk with no issues. What does this say about me since I cannot eat cheese or A1 milk? Well, there you go. It's probably an A1, A2 problem for you. But you could get that tested with an antibody test if you wanted the absolute answer. Or you could just trust your body and go with what works for you and eat that, and things that you react negatively to that you don't eat. You could do that too. Scanning for questions. Here's another question. There we go. Do tanning beds do anything at all in the way of positive effect of sunlight? 5 health hacks. Well, you'll notice that sunlight is not in my 5 health hacks, actually. It's very important. I would probably put that at number 6 on my list if I was going to have a number 6. Tanning beds are not full spectrum sunlight, and as such, they possibly and probably don't provide the benefits. Can I recommend a brand of clean BPC? No, I can't really, Dave. Sorry. I've used 2 different varieties. I got them both from Amazon/eBay at various times. I went with the sort of middle price. I didn't go with the most expensive, and I certainly didn't go with the cheapest. And I went with brands, two of them, 2 different brands, both of which did not come from somewhere beginning with C, and both of which that were offered a lab report, an independent lab report with the product. That's just what I did though. A more serious question. Okay. What's your poison? Beer, cider, Guinness, wine, whiskey. My poison is my own hedonism. My poison is my lack of self-discipline at times, more or less depending on my stress and distress. In terms of alcoholic beverages, pretty much any of it really. But in the general, I mean, I've even taken nowadays, if I'm going to drink beer, that I drink zero alcohol beer, just because I have absolutely no moderation capacity. I start drinking and it just goes stupid and it goes completely over the top, and then there are behavioural problems as well as health problems. It's just no good. Could you elaborate on the dangers of having a colonoscopy, please? There are several. Damage to the colon, infection. They say they sterilise the equipment, but there's not a zero chance of infection. They're the main two, I think. Andy Kaufman has come out recently and done a video about that. Perhaps you should look at that. I haven't yet, because I don't have time, but I would suggest that that might be something worth looking at. Yes, Ted does have rugged good looks. Carnivore, Farm Mum listens and is not a robot. Did anyone say you were a robot? I didn't, I don't think. If I did, that's not what I intended to say. Goodness. No, I know you're not a robot. See how that's missing a Q, that Quekshan? You need a Q on the front of it and a colon. Not 3 Qs, not no Qs. 1 Q, then a colon. Right. What are the essential nutrients we can only get from animal foods? You said there are about 8 of them. That's the kind of thing you can go and look up, actually. Pretty straightforward on the search engine or AI of your choice. That's just a simple, pretty much unassailable list of things that are facts. B12 always comes up as the first one, but there are 8, 9 or 10 others actually as well. Yes. Talk amongst yourselves while we're scanning. Here we go. There's another question. I've never drank alcohol. What makes it addicting? The same thing as makes anything that is addictive, I guess. Mostly and usually it's around a dopaminergic control loop. Don't ask your questions more than once. The answers are rigged even on AI, are they? Interesting. Okay, well, perhaps we'll do a video on that in weeks to come. Yes. Question, if someone had a very serious problem, potentially fatal, would going carnivore overnight outweigh the potential negative effects to the microbiome? It depends very much on exactly what the situation is. Pretty much. Yes, I will make that video if I think of it. Again, send me an email to remind me to do it, and I'll do it as soon as I can do it. I've just got 117,000 other things to do as well. That's more than okay. Thank you for the apology. Don't take it all too seriously. It's all in good fun here. Love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, it seems like I am at the bottom of the chat window already, after only an hour. That's just okay. We can be done after an hour. If you want more questions, if you want the stream to continue for a bit longer, you better type them up pretty quickly in the next, 30 seconds or so. And in the meantime, while you're thinking about that, if you want to do that, you probably should put a super chat on it as well so it comes to the top so that it comes clear straight away. There's one. That's not a question. Maybe it is a question. Let me read through it. Okay, my thoughts are that nothing that that individual has to say is worth hearing. That individual is an imbecile, an absolute fucking imbecile, and why anyone would listen to anything that clown has to say, I've got no idea, frankly, and I'm sick of hearing his fucking name, frankly. That's a very general question. There's no actual, it's very open-ended. Yes. How quickly can someone safely move to a solely carnivore diet without hurting the gut? I usually suggest 6 to 8 weeks. A slow glacial progression from one diet to another. Some people can do it more rapidly than that and be fine. Others not so much. That seems to be around the middle of the bell-shaped curve there. What are your thoughts on butyrate breathing? I've never even heard of that. Why the hell would anybody do that? For goodness sake. Why is everybody so fucking stupid? Right. Been on Carney for over a year. Good. Love it. Awesome. Age 40, female. Excellent. Experiencing palpitations, PVCs daily. Started making electrolyte drink. Helps a bit. Is it because I don't get enough potassium on Carney? Thanks. Neve, look, there are all sorts of things that could be going on. Electrolyte disturbances of various kinds could be the thing. There could be some microbiome issues going on, even though you've been carnivore for over a year. Or it might be unconnected to any of those things. That's a very rich tapestry, that one. I would suggest that adding some electrolytes being apparently helpful would lean in towards that being your likely issue. And if it remains better or, is workable, then keep doing that. One of the issues can be that if a person on the carnivore diet is not eating enough protein per day, and even worse, if it's not all in one hit, one meal, that can lead to a hypoinsulinemic state, which can lead to electrolyte wasting, because you need a kind of bloop in your insulin at least once every day or at least every other day in order to keep the kidney tissue functioning correctly so it can filter things in and out the way it's supposed to. So that's another issue. There might be a double-barreled approach. Take some additional electrolyte, at least in the short term, and have a look at your protein, perhaps. I don't know, Neve. I don't know how much protein you're eating. That's a quite individualized question, which, you could have a consultancy with me about if you want. Okay. Can excess skin from losing weight be lost without surgery? Yes, it can, but it's a slow process. I would suggest that autophagy induced in various ways, including potentially some fasting, if that's indicated on a case-by-case basis, can be useful. And there are a bunch of other things as well. Dr. Abs would be a good source of information on that, I think. Pertaining to atherosclerotic lesions, can carnivore reverse or completely remove them? It is possible. It's not likely that carnivore will actually achieve it by itself, but it can happen. That's why I have 5 health hacks. Not just because my 5 health hacks are about atherosclerosis. My 5 health hacks are about really just about every condition that a human will experience in Western society, pretty much. Anyway, there you go. Is salt optimal? For what, Coconut Monkey? Do you think it's possible to predict the behavior of a bacteria based on purely the DNA sequences that it has? No, because that DNA is interactive. It reacts to the environment in which it's placed. Ergo, you need to know exactly what the environmental conditions are as well. Does that make sense? That's 2 Qs too many. We just need 1 Q and not 3, just 1. What are your, and also a colon, not a semicolon. Goodness gracious, this isn't hard, is it? What are your thoughts on Morley Robbins' emphasis on copper balancing iron, among other issues? I haven't watched any Morley Robbins videos. I'm not likely to either. He may or may not have a point, I don't know. I personally don't think that there are any huge problems with copper deficiency in humans on a carnivore diet. I've not seen it myself. Maybe some people do have a problem with that. If you think Morley Robbins has the answer, go and listen to Morley Robbins. How long have you strived for carnivore as the best diet? I have been stating publicly that the carnivorous diet is likely to be the best diet online as an online influencer for about 7.5 years, I think it is now. What scientific fields outside of your absolute areas, plural, of expertise are you interested in? Well, particle physics, quantum physics, classical physics, music theory, AI is becoming an interest. I need to look into that much, much more. Yeah, that'll do for now. There's some. I'm sure there are others I can't think of right now as well. I have a vast slew of interests, but I don't have a vast slew of time to pursue many of them, what with being so very busy. Is the insulin bump achievable with eating 4 to 5 times a day? Not the one I'm talking about, no. Because if you're eating 4 or 5 times a day, you're probably splitting your protein amongst those meals, and it probably won't get it done for you. Yeah. Referring to my example from before, the guy eating 2 kilos of meat a day. No, that's not probably going to do it. It might for some people. Your mileage will vary, all of that. 82 kilo man, or how tall are you? How much is the ideal amount to consume? Well, how much fat have you got on your body? What's your lean body mass? 2 grams of protein per lean kilo of body mass is the answer you're looking for, which means to get 2 kilos of protein, you would need to eat 8 grams. 2 grams of protein, you would need to eat 8 grams of meat. In other words, 4 to 1, thereabouts. Yeah. Also, if I have chronic stress, do I add carbs? No, you don't. No, you do not add carbs. Do we get enough copper in the diet from eating ruminant meat? Well, I do. How about you? Can stretch marks be reversed with 5 health hacks specific to pregnancy? Yes, they can. It is a possibility. I would also look at the Cerule AFA Night Cream as a topical means, because that AFA Night Cream contains the same active ingredient that stimulates the bone marrow to release stem cells when you eat it. The cream, when you put it on your skin, be that facially or anywhere else, encourages stem cells from the dermis under the skin in that area to come forward and become new skin cells. And stem cells absolutely can replace tissues that are made up of scar tissue, and stretch marks have scar tissue in them. So yes. The other thing you can do to avoid stretch marks commensurate with pregnancy is don't get pregnant. Why do you think Brian Johnson, the immortal is vegan? Well, he's not immortal. Nobody is. And I think he's a vegan because he's a fucking imbecile. Because you'd have to be a fucking imbecile to be a vegan. There's no two ways around it. Sorry about that. Not sorry. Is salt indicated? Yes. However, there's nuance there, isn't there? If it is, on what basis? Since it's antimicrobial. Oh my God, seriously? At a certain level, it's antimicrobial for certain microbes. But how are you going to consume enough salt to get your plasma to an antimicrobial level without killing yourself. You're not. Okay? And both sodium and chloride are rich in animal foods, especially if eaten raw or consuming the meat juice from cooking. I'm not sure that anything after the question mark added anything. Good. Just joined your Patreon. Excellent for the educational videos. Good work, Carl Nielsen, who is probably not the Carl Nielsen I went to school with, I would suggest. Thanks, Bart, as I'm over listening to the rubbish in the nutrition space on YouTube. Yes, good. Listen to me. Only trust me. I'm safe and effective me. I am the science. Don't question the science. What are your thoughts on gene editing and how it can help with health and physical appearance? Example would be any genetic disease or achieving coloured eyes. I'm against it. I'm against the whole idea. I just joined Patreon. Excellent. Good. Love it. What would be the 6th health hack? Getting enough sunshine. I think I mentioned that earlier. I think that would be my number 6. I've recently heard claims that a virus has never been reliably visualized or shown to cause disease. Do you think this is true? It is true that viruses have never been isolated as per the scientific definition of isolation, and that as such there is no proof, direct cause and effect proof, that they cause disease. However, anyone who is stupid enough to believe that viruses do not cause pathology is in the wrong place. This is not the channel for you. It is so bumbuggeringly obvious that both bacteria and viruses absolutely can and do cause various pathologies to occur from time to time, that anyone who suggests that that is not true simply does not understand what they're talking about at all. People like that have grabbed onto partial information. Correct partial information, yes. Viruses and bacteria have not been isolated as per the scientific definition of that. That does not mean they do not cause disease. Lack of evidence is not evidence of lack. All right? Does the type of iodine in salt matter? Potassium iodine versus iodate. Should we default to not iodized salt unless deficient? Who knows? Can you point me to some literature that proves one way or the other, or is it just a bunch of mechanistic speculation? Would eating bone marrow be as effective as cereal products at causing the release of adult stem cells? Absolutely not, no. Why would it? Would you do a video on Dr. Zeldivar? Yes, I will be doing one. Yes. When I get around to it. Can carnivore help with a hemifacial spasm? Yes, potentially. Any tips for management? 5 health hacks. False. They don't. It depends on your definition of what is a tooth. All right? Also, there are a bunch of fish that absolutely do not have anything that could even be remotely related to being teeth. And they're carnivores too, a lot of them. And I am unassailable. I make sure of it. This kind of ridiculous nonsense does not cut into me, not one bit. Go and look up the definition of what teeth are. Hagfish have bony plates with projections on them. That's not teeth, all right? Does the Bible support carnivorism? Yes. It does. What would our good Lord advise? Well, you can ask him when you get there. You won't necessarily get the word of the Lord from the Bible because, folks, the Lord didn't write the Bible. Some people did that. Okay?
How quickly can arthritis be reversed on carnivore? How long's a piece of string? Your mileage will vary. Yes. Since the carnivore stem cell from Cerule has been out for a bit, is there any reports of any difference in the efficacy or effect from the algae variety? It's not a different variety of algae. It's the same base ingredient in the hardcore carnivore product. The only differences between hardcore carnivore stem enhance and standard stem enhance are the capsule is bovine gel instead of the plant-based version in the standard variety, and instead of rice and inert rice starch as a flow agent, it's got silica instead. Also, it doesn't contain fucoidan, not because fucoidan is a plant, it isn't, but because of other issues behind in the background which we're working on resolving. Okay. Knob twiddling is safe and effective. Yes. Yep. We love it when Ted twiddles the knobs appropriately, don't we? Good boy, Ted. You keep twiddling that knob. Good boy. How much fat to lean meat ratio? I don't suggest ratios whatsoever. I suggest 2 grams of protein per kilo of lean body mass plus fat to satiety on any given day. How's lame's PhD? It's absolutely fucking lame. It's not as bad as Mike Imbecile's. I'll give it that. Nonetheless, it's a dissertation and not a thesis. Ergo, it doesn't deserve a PhD. Right there. End of discussion. Anyone that gets a PhD by doing a dissertation and some coursework has not done a fucking PhD. Sorry about that. Not sorry. Secondly, Lame Norton claims to be an expert on human nutrition on the basis of his PhD in nutrition. His little dissertation was done on a couple of experiments on rats. So fuck right off. How's that? And there are other problems with it too, which I'll deal with when I can be bothered making that video. I think the logic behind the bone marrow question as it pertains to stem cells was because they're released through that area. Is that not correct? Yes, the bone marrow does release adult stem cells. In living bone marrow, your living bone marrow that releases your adult stem cells. If you eat bone marrow, what happens is your digestive system dissolves all of that material down to be recycled by your body and used by your body. You're not just going to appropriate some other animal's stem cells, which are no longer viable, for goodness sake. Right. Convince my illiterate grandma in 8 sentences that calories don't matter. Why would I? Calories do matter in some contexts. If, for example, you're interested in optimizing the function of steam engines, then calories do matter, because they're an appropriate measure of the energy that's involved in causing steam engines to function the way they do. Humans, however, don't run on calories. That's the wrong form of energy. The form of energy that humans run on is potential energy, in this case, in the form of chemical energy. There you go. Are there any kind of withdrawal symptoms with Cerule? No, none at all. It's not possible that your body can become dependent on them. No, there's no evidence for that whatsoever, or anything like that. It is for repair or no. There's absolutely no reports whatsoever of any problems of those kinds through any product derived from AFA, right back to the very beginning of AFA products prior to Stem Enhance Ultra, which goes back 30 years. Okay? Yeah. ChatGPT says your definition of what risk, which says it's a cause and effect statement, is wrong. I don't give 2 fucks what ChatGPT says. That's my response. No fucks given whatsoever. None at all. Should pregnant women be on a carnivorous diet? Yes. Who are you listening to? Are you responding to something I said? Because I think I quite clearly said something entirely different from that. Or are you responding to someone in the chat? I don't know. Hilarious, yes. Yep, that too. Ah, Cork Island is in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you, Cork Island. Right, I am once again at the bottom of the chat window. We've managed to stretch another 20 minutes out of the session. Would you like more? If you would, your questions need to come through in the next few minutes. If they don't come through, I'll wind up. But let's start with the wind-up procedure anyway. And just remind you all that we suffered something like 6 figures of damage in 2 floods earlier this year, and the insurance company is not paying us that, or even close to that. It does make a big hole in things. It is a big problem, and you can help by super chatting us lots of funds or sending funds to PayPal as per the information wending its way across the bottom of the screen on that yellow ticker tape with the black writing on it. That said, you can also order yourself adult stem cell nutrition via the link there, bkaynutrition.cerule.com. I would suggest a wellness pack of Stem Enhance Ultra, Cyactive and Plasma Flow per month on Subscribe and Save. That way you get a price break on the products and you won't pay shipping. If you have some issues health-wise that you're working on, I would suggest a 4 or 6 product wellness pack, probably firstly and foremostly with a bit more Stem Enhance Ultra. And if your condition is largely inflammatory, also, not instead, also a bit more Cyactive as well. Stick with just the 2 capsules a day of Plasma Flow, I would suggest. More than that can cause you to have a bit of a sore tum-tum, which is not dangerous, but it's very painful and can be quite disconcerting. Don't do that. What else can I tell you? Oh yes, follow Ted on the X.
Yes, over there. I'm calling everybody. I'll see you next Tuesday.
I can't do a thing with him. Go and follow Ted on X. It's great fun. And everyone's wrong as well. Everyone else in the world is wrong. Ted knows all. All hail Ted. Right. Right, there are 1 or 2 more questions, so we can deal with those. Is raw dairy better than pasteurized dairy for health? Who knows? Some people say it is. Some people say there's no difference. People are very opinionated on that. There's no evidence that we can actually go to that will prove one way or the other. How confident are you that Cerule won't be banned by the powers? It sounds too good to be true. I have no control over that. It's nothing I can worry about, frankly. In the meantime, all I can do is promote the best damn product I've ever come across in the nutraceutical sphere, frankly. And I will continue to promote it as long as it's available for promotion. And you should all go and buy it, every single one of you. Otherwise, you might get a visit from Ted. Next question. While moving to carnivore diet, what are the safest foods you could suggest someone to eat aside from meat? Obviously cutting out carbs and sugar. Thank you for the live stream. You're very welcome. It really depends on your particular reactions. Everyone's a little bit individual in terms of what they respond well to or not well to. And yeah, as such, I can't really give you an answer to that. I would suggest that you stick around the least commonly overtly problematic things for people, you know. A lot of people say rice is unlikely to be a problem for someone immediately, for example. Rice, of course, being a starch that breaks down very rapidly and dumps a bunch of sugar, so you would need to moderate that. I would stay away from the seeds, the leafy portions, the root portions, or tuber portions of plants as much as possible. Your PC registry has 68 issues. Buy this product, otherwise everything will end and your computer will die and things accordingly, apparently, I should say. No, close. Don't think I'll be sucked into that. Others might have suggestions too. I mean, I find it difficult to suggest any plant materials at all because they're contraindicated, all of them. What I suggest generally is that whatever plants you are eating or plant materials you are eating, that you remove those, withdraw those slowly over 6 to 8 weeks rather than suddenly all at once. And, mess around and find out in terms of what works for you, I think. How's that? Time for the steak and egg song? Yes, it's coming. That's what she said. What are your thoughts on flicker AC currents, and do you use incandescence and daylight computer? Not enough is known for sure. There are theories out there about that which could be good, bad or indifferent for you in terms of light and its effects on all sorts of things. The lighting that we have in the house is fluorescent, not incandescent. Doesn't mean that's better, I'm just telling you what it is. And do I use the computer in the daytime? Yes, I do. It's daytime right now. Yep. Quekshun, yes. Will you be doing another dry fast at some point? Oh, probably, almost certainly. What scientific basis do you have that proves a carnivore diet is optimal for human health? Interesting question. None. There are no evidences that any aspect of human diet of any kind whatsoever is optimal by way of an experimental test of that optimal nature of that diet or that dietary procedure, or no matter what kind of procedure that is. What we have to do is use some scientific common sense to put together a position statement based on the best evidence available such that it is, which you will not find in the ring-fenced area of ideology called human nutrition science, because there's no science there. None at all, in fact. I base my belief that the carnivore diet is optimal for humans on two things. Number one, the actual hard sciences that do point that way, like the physical anthropology, the organ systems, design, the metabolic pathways that we have. And the second aspect to my belief around the carnivore diet being optimal is the anecdotes that back that up, almost universally. Okay? Convince me that risk is a cause and effect statement. Okay. In the context of presenting an associative data set, X is associated with Y, and suggesting on the basis of that association that you can make a prognostic statement about risk is fundamentally flawed. It's completely wrong. I'll give you the most basic example I can think of. Here it is. If you associate the sale of ice creams at Miami Beach with sunburn experienced by people who were on Miami Beach that day, you will find a strong, positive, repeatable, predictable relationship between ice cream sales and sunburn. Ergo, is it now appropriate for me to say to a person, your risk of sunburn on any given day is dependent on whether or not you bought an ice cream or 2 ice creams? No, it's not appropriate. Not appropriate at all. Go further than that. You look at a prospective, they call them prospective cohort study, that looked at 712,000 men over 55 years of age, for example, on their risk of heart disease as that relates to their reported intake of saturated fat, for example. Okay. Number one, I am not a man over 55 years of age. So that data does not apply to me. We're done. That study can make no statement about my risk of anything. That study had 700 and something thousand men over a given age, sure. The only population to whom this result applies is those men, measured on that occasion under the circumstances that those men lived in at that time. You cannot cut and paste results from one study to another. Simple as that. Risk is absolutely a cause and effect statement in the context of reporting an association between X and Y and making a prognostic statement to someone about their risk. Okay? I hope that's helpful in some way. Yes, it is horrible, but we soldier on. We keep our heads up. We battle forward. We keep telling the truth. We keep working. 2 steps forward, 1 step backs. 2 steps forwards, 1 step backs. 3 steps backs, 2 steps forwards. You know, it's hilarious. It's still better than a job or, you know, living in a city. I don't think I'd ever go back to that. Good. Any tips for correcting adrenal fatigue in addition to lifestyle changes and stress reduction? 5 health hacks. You'll find them on my channel. Just do a search on my channel for 5 health hacks. Thank you for all the help that you give. You're more than welcome. Bye, Ted. Dun 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 dun. It's clear that you're new here, so we'll I guess we'll humour you. If plants are toxic, that's a begging the question fallacy right there. Wrong. Not if plants are toxic. Plants are toxic. How come people eat them until they're 70, 80 or 90 and still don't die from food poisoning? Toxicity is a variable thing. Toxic effects range from very mild through to death. Not everything that's toxic is fatal, and not everything that's toxic and fatal is fatal immediately. Okay? I think you probably have quite a long way to go to catch up with the rest of the crowd here, which is okay. We still love you. There's nothing you can do about it. You're in the right place now, but you need to stick around for probably 6 months to actually get your head around some of this stuff. Yeah. What's your theory on infrared therapy? It can be indicated for certain people at certain times, can be quite useful for various things. It's not on my top 5 because it's not on my top 5. You're very welcome. I eat OMAD when I can, and I get about 100 grams of protein and plenty of fat. Why does my mouth start to salivate later in the day, night, like I crave something, but I'm neither actually hungry or tired? Well, how much do you weigh? And how much of that is lean body mass? Because 100 grams of protein would only be enough if you weigh 50 kilos of lean mass or less. Probably. Is the popularity of probiotic foods like kimchi and kefir based on any tangible benefits? No. Some people report benefits. Good for them. I actually like kefir. I've enjoyed consuming quite a bit of kefir myself. But would I say there are any tangible, clear benefits from doing it? Nope. If the liver is damaged, how does the body metabolize meat and fat? Well, it depends on what kind of damage the liver has experienced and to what degree. Yeah, there is that, absolutely. Yes, a lot of people would say, well, ice cream contains PUFAs, and PUFAs there's a mechanistic speculation around how they can make you more prone to sunburn. Yes, but it's still a mechanistic speculation, isn't it? And risk is still a cause and effect statement in this context. What habits should someone who is young implement to follow your 5 health hacks? Well, they should follow my 5 health hacks, whatever age they are. That's how you follow the 5 health hacks, by following them. These are do or do not things. And I suggest do and not do not. Does that make sense? Have you ever heard of someone who reacts to raw dairy and not pasteurized? Not personally, I haven't, no. What's your take on the plants and hormesis argument? It's fucking nonsense. Let's say a liver is 90% damaged. According to whom, on the basis of what? What scale are you talking about to get this 90% figure? 90% of what? And yes, a carnivore diet can help with all sorts of damage in the human body because it's, in my humble opinion, the species-appropriate, species-specific diet based on actual science, as well as anecdotes. Okay? It's likely to help. 4 other health hacks as well, though, on top, not just carnivore diet by itself. I hope this is clear to people. There are 5 health hacks, not 1. The carnivore diet is number 1, and rightly so, but there are 4 others that I suggest. And 5 if you want to include sunlight at number 6. Then it's 6 health hacks. I stopped at 5 because, well, I did a video in 5 minutes or less. And actually the top 5 are, I think, 90% or above, 95% above probably of the problem sorted for a person who follows those health hacks, for want of a better term, religiously. Are artificial sweeteners potentially carcinogenic? The potentially word is the one that makes it safe to say yes. Potentially. Is there any proof of that? No. None at all. Why does Lame Norton exist? I've got no fucking idea. Taking collagen peptides during a 40-day water fast. Well, then it's not a water fast if you're taking collagen peptides, because fasting is not consuming any nutrients. Okay? You've mentioned that the body breaks down foods into basic proteins and fats, so eating liver won't necessarily improve one's liver function just because same organ. But choline will, right? Will is too strong a statement. There is no evidence to support the word will in that context. Choline is an important nutrient, yes. However, you still don't need to eat liver to get enough choline. All right. I started potassium supplements and felt great. I think I was deficient for years. Okay. Da-dum. Humans has been hypercarnivore, and I have a doubt. Does humans really were herbivores? They become evolved to carnivore. Wow. I hope you didn't use Google Translate to make the English up there. It looks like you did. That's awful. I'm sorry. I just can't even answer that because it's just incomprehensible. Please try again. Maybe get a native English speaker to help you or something. There was a study on Polish women, both healthy and one with multiple sclerosis, who increased vitamin D3 levels. I've also maintained tan and also increased vitamin D3. Is it safe to say cold increased D? No. How do we know the Randall cycle occurs in the human body and the mechanisms exist? Because it's been tested. They've looked into this. It was proposed in 1962 or 1963 by Sir Philip Randall. At that time, he didn't call it the Randall cycle, obviously. Somebody else named it after him later because it was him that first suggested the thing is likely to exist. And then the actual bits of machinery that do this job have been investigated, looked into. Does this pan out? And the answer is yes. The observational science has been done here. If you had to give a rough estimate, what factor would carnivore be better than, say, 20 gram keto for overall benefit? Again, I've got no fucking idea what this is. What does that say? I'm getting tired and grumpy. Goodness sake, people. Do you think the constant plant-based diet would cause humans to evolve back to herbivores? If they did that for long enough, yes. Indeed, that's what she said. Yes, we did start as herbivores and evolve to carnivores, but everybody knows that, for God's sake. Surely. Is that right? If you're referring to me and something I said, then yes, it is right, because I don't say things that aren't right. All right, that's it. No more. Yep, no more indeed. Right, no more questions. It's time for the song, and then we can all get on with our lives, because, yeah, there it is. There are other things to do. It's been awesome. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for the questions, those that I could comprehend, even as to what the hell they were. Thanks for being here. See you next time we're on for questions and answers, whenever that is. I'm not sure when that'll be at this stage. Stick around the channel, because people will be wrong on interwebs and I'll have to point it out. There's a bit of that going on. I'm a bit behind on that because I'm doing other things, of course, with trying to be a farmer and a consultant and a marketer of cereal products that many of you haven't gone and bought. Why not? Have I not been clear? Why do you not see that having more circulating adult stem cell resources is a good idea? Because it is. Go and buy those products. Also support the Flood Relief Fund with more super chat action than we got today. Vastly more. A lot more. Send money via PayPal if you like. That'd be appreciated too. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Now let's sing the song. Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted. See you next time. Hit the button, Ted, anytime you're ready. Go down there and hit the button. Good lad. Anytime at all. It's not hard. That's what she said.